I'm lost in darkness, searching for light. Every step forward feels like a fight. Shadows of doubt creep in my mind, but I refuse to surrender. I must find a way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. The weight of the world crushes me down. Fear and uncertainty all around. But I deep find inner strength to face the trials length by length. A way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. Through every storm, I'll find my way. Day, nothing changes. All I want is a moment to think clearly, but thoughts come unrelenting, consuming every waking moment. My mind binds me and I can't escape. I shout for help when no one hears me. One day I feel I'll just disappear. Lost in this chaos, I'm searching for peace.
Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT post-show rewind for November the 19th, 2024. I am Tyler, the Pro Wrestling Hipster. This is Molly Holly, and back with me this week,
CJ Carter. I wish I could say that I was greeting you all under better circumstances, but unfortunately, as we're going to get into in a minute, some rather somber instances happening on tonight's episode.
Yes, it is. We've had happier reunions here on the NXT Dirt Sheet Radio Rewinds, but yeah, we will get into it. But hey, but before we do get into all of the proceedings tonight, we do have to give that ever important shout out to our partner on the web, comicbookclick.com. That is comicbookclick.com/Dirt Sheet Radio for all of your comic book, pop culture, professional wrestling, entertainment needs, all in one convenient location. Check it out. Make it your homepage, just like we do. Not because we're legally obligated, but because we love to do it. And hey, while you're there, be sure to check out our sponsor, NordVPN, where if you sign up for 1 full year, you will get 72% off that first month. The savings are astronomical. It's amazing. But guys, we're not here to talk about sponsors tonight. We're here to talk about NXT, and we're going to break it all down for you. And we're going to start like we usually do with the main event tonight. And this is a somber start to the program this evening. Tonight, it was all on the line. We had Andre Chase taking on Ridge Holland, that awful, dastardly, evil, despicable, scum of the earth human being. Everything on the line, a title shot on the line, Chase U on the line. Thought it was going to happen, thought he was going to pull it out, but unfortunately, when it was all said and done, Andre Chase lost to Ridge Holland. Chase U is no more. There were tears in the members of the audience in the Performance Center tonight. I'm torn up. Y'all know I'm a big Chase U guy. CJ, talk about the match itself for a minute, man. I don't know.
I get it. You're pretty beaten up right now. You're in an emotional place. Thank you for sticking out and being able to put that aside to do the show. I get it, man. But it was a very it was an incredible match. Like
it really was a great match.
The amount of amazing storytelling that they told in this match when they had each member of Chase U coming out, and of course Ridge Holland overcoming each of them. Riley Osborne technically overcame Thea, but let's not get into that. The and then having Andre Chase being the last man standing in a sense, to be able to put him down for the 3, absolutely picture perfect storytelling as far as the folding of Chase U as we know it. But at the same time, I remember it saying in the graphic that it's not the disillusion of Chase U. As shout out Mac. I'm a classy guy when I want to be. But no, the idea that Chase U is anchored to these 3 people is a bit short-sighted, I think. There is an opportunity to continue to build NXT talent. You could throw in 3 people that haven't made it past level up yet and put them under the tutelage of Andre Chase and leave those 3 to go on to do bigger things for themselves outside of the Chase U umbrella.
But under the stipulation, is Andre Chase even permitted to be an educator going forward?
What they had in the graphic that they showed on TV tonight was that they cut ties with Duke, Thea, and Riley.
Okay,
that's
so
it.
It's not the end of Chase U, it just means that they're no longer attending the university.
Exactly. This is essentially their graduation.
It's still very sad, though. I mean, poor Thea Hale. I weep for her. She's going to be crying all night. I know this. And probably mostly because of, like, the head trauma from, but...
The incidental contact. Which, by the way, Riley just bowled her over and kept on going at Ridge Holland. Didn't even break a sweat to check on his friend, quote unquote.
Well, there was a lot on the line. CJ, you can't stop for and check on the collateral in the instance. You gotta
whole lot of good it did him.
Right. I mean, it wasn't. It was all for nothing in the end. Match went about 12 minutes. Like you said, the match was fantastic. They told an amazing story. There are roughly 300 people and some change in that performance center. But man, when they get riled up, it sounds like triple that easy. It's absolutely amazing. The acoustics in that room must be pretty good. But the crowd was super into it. I have never seen so many Chase U shirts in that audience. When NXT started tonight, though, I turned to the wife and I actually flat out said, I'm like, this doesn't bode well for the main event, that there are so many Chase U shirts in the audience tonight. But
even the pre-recorded segments where it's like really hammering home like the Chase U history and its importance and really hitting those emotional strings. Yeah, they telegraphed it just over the top kind of thing, like almost a fourth wall break, being like they're not gonna make it through the night.
And and a lot of the clips that they showed really reiterate why Chase U as an institution is just so important and so much fun for NXT. Like, it's just such a wild character in Andre Chase. And I always enjoy that they allowed him to curse. I mean, obviously they're going to bleep it out, but you look like shit. That's one of the earlier hilarious things that we talked about on this show, was that when he was going through that first scandal that we watched him live through. And I think that's the sad part of it too. This is the 1 year anniversary of all of the rewinds this week. And Chase,
that was reason number 1 I'm in the suit, by the way.
That is the reason. He did not put that suit on strictly as a memoriam for Chase University. Chase U has been one of those things that's always been. And Malik, I don't know if you're watching tonight. I don't know if you watch NXT tonight.
I was like, this is a hell of an episode for him to he's probably still celebrating. And shout out to Malik. Hopefully you come back soon, man.
Yeah. But thrilled, the one person thrilled that Chase is like. Here's the thing too. I get a large part of this. It's putting a lot of heat on. You know what? At this point, Ridge Holland better win that fucking championship. If they're going to destroy Chase U for this. Just for Trick Williams to get to be the hero and like beat Ridge? No, fuck that. No, I don't accept that. No, Mac, I'm with you. Ridge wins it now. I hate Ridge. Like everyone already hated Ridge Holland. You didn't need to put this level of heat on the man. Why?
Yes, you do, because that's how you accelerate him to the next level. If he didn't shut down Chase University, he wouldn't have been as credible of a threat as he is now.
This is Tanya Harding level heat.
It's very much the best way to push him up to that next level. So I don't think he's going to win the championship. I think this is going to be, if Andre Chase or whoever else wants to try and get their revenge to cost him the title. And then maybe heading into, I think because if you want to keep the title on Trick Williams for now, being like the new face of NXT on the CW, like we've kind of talked about before, I think heading into Stand and Deliver is going to be the best chance to take Trick to the main roster and give someone else the chance to be like the new face of the company. Or the brand, at least.
Right. Yeah, I think. I mean, they are using Trick on so much of the promotional materials, the TV spots, and everything. So, I mean, yeah, I'm just very fired up. That's all. I'm very worked up over this whole situation. Clearly.
And you know what? That's totally fair, man. Like I'm still clinging to the hope that they're going to continue the Chase University gimmick with new people, but we'll see. If it turns out that this truly is one and done for Chase U, then we'll see where things go.
For all of them. Like, obviously, like, I think they could figure something out for Duke Hudson if they wanted to go ahead and figure out a spot for him somewhere, maybe up on the main roster. If they want to start to work him up that way, he's ready. Like, there's not a whole lot left for him to do, unless they wanted him to have some independent title runs on NXT before moving on to something else. I think Riley Osborne is probably the one that's going to be in the most danger here going forward without the Chase U umbrella being with him. Because obviously we've talked about Thea a lot. She's come a very, very, very long way, both in ring and as a character. I still say, just facial expression, some of the best in the company, if not wrestling in general. Very expressive, tells a lot with that face. So, like, I think she'll be fine in the long run without Chase U. I love the association, but maybe it's like you said, it's time to graduate. It's time to move on and see what else she can do. But Riley Osborne is the one that I have the most concern for. I feel like he's the least developed of everyone that's been involved with Chase U.
Well, I mean that's perfectly valid though. Like he's only been on the roster since the breakout tournament. So what has he done in that time? He not a whole lot. Chase U won the tag titles twice, but he wasn't actually part of the winning team. So it'll be one of those he'll have to work the hardest to find his place post Chase U, but we'll see how it goes. I think he'll be okay, but it is going to be harder for him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a slightly harder climb for him. But Annie, the suit is popular tonight, CJ.
Maybe it'll be a regular thing. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I feel each particular day. Like I still love.
Yeah, but like this is making
having
me
a
feel
reason
like
to dress down.
This is making me feel like Pat McAfee right now, though. Like you're like in a stupid over here, like in a fucking t-shirt and jeans and a flannel. Which I should have worn one of my denim jackets, because that is almost that's like the Canadian tuxedo, correct? That is
It essentially is, yeah. Just jeans and jean
You
jacket.
are
Hey, John.
you are our pro wrestling hipster. You are as advertised. We would have you no other way, Tyler. Honestly.
100%.
Oh fuck!
Perfect.
I took him out instead of myself. I'm gonna be hosting NXT
Boot
for
your
now.
ass out.
Oh fuck!
oh man, live
Jesus, the
radio.
chaos.
God, love it. This
That's
is
great.
Dirt Sheet Radio, everyone. God damn it, this is amazing every week. But yeah, but anything else on the main event here tonight, or shall we hop around to the start of the program?
I think if this is the last we see of Chase University, then salute. I don't actually. Oh yeah, I do have a bit of Pepsi left in this this bottle. So cheers.
Oh, Chase you. Yeah, love it. I hope they find someone to continue. But I was glad that, minus a few assholes in the Performance Center singing "Hey, hey, hey, goodbye" at them, people were pretty upset.
And it was only like the last 30 seconds too, but it's still like, come on, they've been around for a while.
It stung. But tonight's program did come from the Performance Center down in Orlando, Florida. We opened with Vic and Booker at ringside again, which I like that they're doing that. I enjoy them starting at ringside, just a little bit different, sets it a little bit apart. And then, they end up at the commentary booth during the first little backstage segment. But we had Nathan Fraser and Axiom bickering, as they tend to do, walking backstage as Nathan was making his way towards the entranceway for the Iron Survivor qualifier match. And as they were bickering, they saw Gallus watching them menacingly from, I don't know where, some alcove beside gorilla position, I guess. That was very well lit, though. Like...
It's one of those, you have to wonder how they didn't see them as Fraser and Axiom were walking to Gorilla.
Well, they waited. They actually, you can't see it. There's actually a little pull chain to turn that light on. It was completely dark as they were walking by. That's why they turned to look. It was the light turning on that actually startled them.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That, you know what, that answers all my questions and raises absolutely zero new ones. That's awesome.
Fantastic. And that's the way Shawn Michaels likes it at the Performance Center. But this is going to take us into the Iron Survivor qualifier. Nathan Fraser taking on the very, very ignored by Ava Eddie Thorpe. Yeah, and as you can see, guys, so they've got this ongoing story. Every tag team in the company is watching like a hawk. There's a lot of chaos. We'll get to that in a minute. But this is all Ava's doing. She told the tag team division to step up. It's not really her fault, though, that Axiom and Nathan Fraser are continuously cracking apart as they each want to pursue independent things. Seemingly more Fraser doing this than Axiom, but we'll get to a little tit for tat that occurred for them later tonight. But the match itself was fantastic. Hell of an opener. Super quick paced. All the tag teams just have this schmoz around the ring, and it just broke down, caused a lot of distraction, but Nathan Fraser ends up winning in just around 11 minutes. A lot of chaos here. CJ, what'd you think of the opener tonight?
Great match. I love seeing Eddie Thorpe back in the ring. Hasn't had the most stable or consistent NXT career thus far, and yet I still find myself rooting for him every single time. I think that the invasion of the tag team division, and I mean, we do see it again throughout the show, and even on the women's side of things, we see that, spoiler alert, but I thought it was a very, it adds to this long-term story that they're telling with the breakup of Fraxium, and I love long-term storytelling like that when it's done right. And just this is one of those examples where it's just done so well. I love it. I has Thorpe been a heel the last few weeks?
I don't think he's been a heel per se. I think he's been a little curt, a little abrasive, but I think it's justified. He has felt very ignored. And there is a segment that we'll talk about a little bit later tonight that I think maybe he is starting to lean a little more that way just based off reaction. And there's a line between him having an understandable reaction and that reaction starting to be a bit over the top. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when that segment happens. But yeah, he's definitely been a little, you know what, pissy. I'm not even going to say angry. The man's been pissy lately.
Well, because, I mean, there was the point right before the finish where he's about to get back into the ring and then out of nowhere decides to kick Axiom. And it's like, hey, this whole tag team thing hasn't been your fight. It was a very heelish tactic.
Yeah.
But I wasn't too sure if that was something that was something that he's been doing the last few weeks.
No, I mean, and this is really the first match he's wrestled gosh, I'm trying to think of the last time he wrestled a match before this. It's mostly been him chasing Ava around, trying to get a word with her. And then last week she granted him this match. But yeah, he's definitely, like I said, been curt, and but understandably so. Like, you know, if you feel like your general manager is, you know, not giving you the time of day, you're mean, Toronto 95.
Clearly a Canadian without it in name only, not in spirit. We're a lot kinder than that.
It's a bit much coming from someone in the 6. All right, let's a little kinder to Chase U. No, there are certainly a lot of people that did not like Chase U and thought it was just an absolute cornball thing, and it was a cornball thing. But
I was kind of hoping that Thorpe was going to get the win, though. I get what they're doing with the Fraser and Axiom split, but I just was hoping this was going to be a moment to help build Eddie Thorpe up. But obviously there's better storyline implications, or at least bigger storyline implications. But we'll see.
I am gonna request we pop out of order here real quick and hit the.
We'll just talk about it.
The Nathan Fraser and Axiom segment from later in the show, because they established in that Axiom himself is also now in the running to be in the Iron Survivor. He's got a qualifier against Ethan Page next week. Ethan Page. And I don't see them putting him over Ethan Page unless there's some wild scenario that leads to him beating Ethan Page, just considering where Ethan Page is on the card as a singles competitor. And I feel like if they're going to have Nathan Fraser beat Eddie Thorpe, then it would have to lead to him wrestling Axiom. But I don't see a clear path for Axiom into this match, again, unless there's some really screwball thing they do to put him over Ethan Page.
Well, and I mean, like I said, I would have loved to pick Eddie Thorpe over Nathan Fraser simply for the tag team aspect of it. I get that they're serving multiple stories, but just to see the guy get a win. So as far as Ethan Page, I think because they usually do have they announced all the matches? No, they haven't announced all the matches so far because they were making them over the course of the night. Right. So I think that they'll probably do a last chance for the men and for the women. So maybe this will be a moment for Ethan Page to still make it into the match.
Yeah, and I think last year they did have, on both the men's and women's side, a last chance opportunity for that. That sounds completely right, and So you're right. So there is definitely still core. So I mean, then it's got to be the way they're going. And if they don't do that, then like I feel really bad for Eddie Thorpe here.
And Ethan Page if that's the case.
Right. Like we'll see though. We'll see what they're doing with it. We've talked about it a lot. I love Nathan Frazier and Axiom as a tag team, and I think that they were thrown together for the Dusty Classic. But it worked. It works really, really well. But at the same time, I'd love to see them work a full program against one another that we have to watch at half speed to actually see all the maneuvers that happen in it.
Oh, yeah. Like, they would be able to put on a clinic. But at the same time, they're one of those teams that I would love to see go against so many teams on the main roster, like especially now that the Motor City Machine Guns are on SmackDown. Like that in itself, like I would pay good money to see that match. I would pay good money to be front row for that match, and money that I don't have, by the way. I am the suit is not a very expensive suit. It was bought at buy the jacket get the pants free. So I'm very much I'm not going to Survivor Series in Vancouver or Elimination Chamber in Toronto. Let's just put that to bed. But no, like I would pay good money to see Fraser and Axiom, Fraxium take on a lot of the main roster teams. Mac just said in the chat, Fraxium versus War Raiders. And I think that would be just a hell of a match.
Okay,
right?
All right. So don't break them up yet. Let them fight each other for a while longer. It harkens back to what was that? King of the Ring?
DIY, the amount of times that they've broken up and gotten back together.
Well, true. But I mean, as tag champions, I think it was like King of the Ring 97. Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin were the tag champions, but they had a match at King of the Ring. So let's just kind of run that kind of story. Of course, Shawn would run that story back. Damn it, this all makes so much sense now.
It even rung true for me. WrestleMania 21, Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio setting up for their feud. And I thought that was that was the parallel that I made, which a little bit different, or at least not the same. But that's kind of where my mind went.
Right, we got there. But fantastic match. A lot of implications coming out of it. But we will hop forward through the show here. We had first of a couple quick vignettes here. The first was that Chase University vignette that it was a pep talk with the students. I think the recap of the history of Chase U was a little bit later. I think they had 2 or 3 of these throughout the night. But great speech, always a lot of fun. And hopefully, again, not the end of Chase U, but
I don't know if it was the audio fucked up during the pre-recorded segments for you tonight.
No.
Okay. One more reason to hate on Sportsnet then.
The CW has done a great job. I will say that.
The live audio, no problem whatsoever. The pre-recorded segments, choppy as hell.
Weird. That is very weird.
And I mean, I don't think it was just me, because that's a very specific production related problem to have.
Right. Yeah, no, I didn't have any issues with any of the backstage segments. Yeah, it's nothing. Everything was fine.
Okay. Yeah. It might also be a WWE thing, because I usually watch on a delay to skip through the commercials, but by the time I get to the main event, it's kind of hit or miss if I'm caught up or not. Tonight I was caught up, had to sit through a commercial break, and I don't recall hearing any audio problems with the commercials. So maybe it's a WWE problem.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like there's always
now that
something going on with that. Like y'all have you're just counting the minutes until Netflix, right? Like,
man, like January 6th. No,
although after the Tyson fight.
That's true. They might not have a great live stream track record heading into Raw's debut. But I mean, we'll see what happens. What's that?
I think they have the Christmas Day NFL game. I think they're streaming on Netflix.
Yes, and Beyonce
That'll-
is the halftime performer.
I don't want the Beehive to come after me, so I won't talk about you. Hey, I know better than what to not say on the internet.
I sometimes know that secret. Yes, I agree with Mac there. That'd be another great match. I think their styles work really well together.
Yeah. Agreed. So then, did you not really get to see the Julia vignette? Then did the audio was all jacked up on that one?
It helped that it had subtitles.
Fair enough. Yeah,
for most of it.
I'll say it was with the audio functional. I will say she emoted very, very well. We talk about it a lot between like the Raw streams and this one, but I love that they do this way. It's brilliant. It's the best way to actually. It's funny because I can hear Vince's arguments for years and years as to why this is not a good way to get someone's character across. Yes, it is. People will read, Vince. It's not hard. These are simple words on the screen, and you're hearing her actual emotion. This is why subtitles is superior to dubbing. All right, I'm sorry. I'm saying it. I'm taking a stand here. And this is proof positive if you ever had a doubt. It's wonderful. Like, you get such a better grasp of just the emotion behind the words. And they don't have to, they're not worrying about saying the words properly in English and being, torn apart on the internet for mispronouncing something or having the wrong syntax.
John chiming in the graphics. I figured he'd have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it because yes, the delivery is a lot better. It feels more genuine. And at the same time, my knee-jerk reaction when I hear a different language spoken is to look at the screen. So for a lot of English-speaking households, that's guaranteed eyes on the screen, and that's when you can really utilize the clips that they did for Julia's career outside of WWE, being able to highlight some of her better moments. And when you have that visual investment, that's going to go a long way. But I mean, if you're the kind of person that you only watch the in-ring action and you just have whatever else is else in the show kind of playing in the background, then you lose that.
Right. You wouldn't. It's you'd be missing out on such a nuanced, well-produced segment of the program. And even too, the emotion behind the site, she's saying very cool things. It's like the aspect of I didn't have a background in combat sports. I only knew how to fight because of the fights I was in growing up. And they haven't got into it super heavily, but she's talked about, and this is kind of if you know, and how it makes sense for her character. But she's talked about how she was bullied and made fun of growing up in Japan because she's half Italian. And so it's like she was probably in a lot of fights as a kid, and it's very good. They're doing a very good job with her character, and it gives me a lot of faith. I say this every week, but for the women's division in general, but especially at NXT, but for the main roster eventually. At this point, though, I think Sean might start to need to panic a little bit and start working on some male stars. Because he's got three that I could say that could potentially be on the main roster within a year.
Well, and I mean,
we are seeing. Sean has his focus.
We are seeing a lot of good growth with guys that haven't been around as long. Even guys like Javon Evans, he's gotten a lot of TV time, and obviously he's going to get more heading into Deadline. But I actually missed not seeing him and Obafemi a lot of the guys that have started to come up through the the breakout tournament guys. So if we see good progression with their stories and their careers, then I don't see what. Because I mean, Javon Evans just had a match against Randy Orton. Yeah. Clearly that's the level of faith that they have in this kid. They don't just give that spot to anybody. So I think that there's at least
being main roster ready.
Oh,
Within
100%.
like a calendar year. Like I would say, like someone like I still think he'd be rushing it a bit, but like Obafemi could be on the main roster within a year, without question. I think that'd still be rushing it a little bit. I'd like to see him have, a fair more time in NXT just to kind of more develop the character side of things and get a little more diverse in the ring. We haven't really seen him push to certain limits yet, but hey, not everyone has to be pushed to certain limits. Some people don't have to do that kind of match.
I am genuinely surprised that Ethan Page is still in NXT. I thought that when he dropped the title, he would have been, and he was on Monday Night Raw. So it's interesting that they didn't keep him up there. He's been main roster ready. I'm surprised he spent this much time down in NXT.
I'm wondering if they're waiting for Netflix. If that's like, if there's going to be like a massive influx and like shift of roster and talent around that time.
Well, hopefully not, because especially for Raw. Well, but at the same time, like, there's enough people complaining about not getting booked on a 2-hour show as opposed to a 3-hour show. Now you're telling me once Netflix going back to 3 hours, you are still getting edged out because, the new guys are here and we have to spotlight them.
Hey, if they don't want to get edged out, perform better, get better numbers. I'm not saying days where
fair enough, but
segment, like seeing where the dips are. Hey, going by the number segment to segment, that put the Euro Championship on D'Lo Brown. All right, I'm just saying, like that's
all right. That's fair, but I mean,
it's
when
2024, and I'm not using D'Lo Brown to make reason of something.
And nobody cares about ratings anymore once it hits streaming anyways. No. Netflix doesn't even share that information on the regular, so...
Nope. Once it's streaming, ratings become completely irrelevant, which is the future of it anyway, and ratings have become increasingly irrelevant over the years for a number of reasons. If among them, fewer homes having traditional cable, fewer homes like having that information available to Nielsen. Like, and by the way, guys, like for years and years, Nielsen didn't use DVR numbers because they had to pay companies to get those numbers, and Nielsen's like, screw that, we don't pay you for that. Like, you just tell us. So like that's got shows canceled over the years. But no, like it's Netflix just wants it to make money. They just want to make an eventual return on their, was it $1 billion investment? Several billion? What was it exactly?
Oh, God, I can't remember. But I mean, we know it's going to be a lot because they're getting the entire catalog eventually.
Right. Right.
But I wonder, like, oh God, I hate when my brain just decides to stop thinking about whatever I was thinking about, because I had something and now it's just gone.
It'll come back.
Hopefully.
It'll come back.
We were talking about Netflix. We were talking about Raw. We were talking about influx of NXT talent. I'm sure I'll think of it eventually.
It'll roll back. As we roll on, something random will pop up and it'll slam back into your consciousness.
Oh, I remember what it was. It was getting us back on track because we were talking about Julia's segment, and I had the thought pop into my head that this segment was so good that it made Kalani Jordan take notice and demand qualifier against her next week.
That's exactly what happened. Kalani's been increasingly, she's getting better on the character side of things. She's coming across a little over the top, and this is an example of that here tonight. But that's saying something when I'm saying you come across as a little hammy when you're on screen with Mr. Stone and Stevie Turner.
Oh yeah, like even the segment where Rhino speared him, like it's the building up to that moment was just so corny and
there is
hammed
no
up.
Scenery left unchewed when Mr. Stone is around. For my theater nerds out there, you know what I mean when I say that. But yeah, it's but yeah, the setup that she will be getting that Iron Survivor quality. So how do you think that's going to go? Because we're going to talk about Stephanie Vacker and Jada Parker's match here in a moment. But what do you see happening potentially between Kalani Jordan and Julia? Because those are both two names that they care about, and that they're on the rise, and that there's a lot of oomph and steam behind. So, what do you do here?
Well, and I think the comments that I make about Julia are in large part going to be the same sort of comments that I make about Stephanie Vaquer and even Zarya to an extent. Like, they have hyped these three women in particular coming into the company as these big international gets for the brand, and now they're putting them into these matches where only one woman can win. And how do you continue to tell their stories without diluting that buzz and swell that you brought on yourself?
Well, I think something like the Iron Survivor, it's rumble-ish in a way that you can kind of get little tastes of all of these pairings in that without really giving away the full-fledged match. And I think that's part of their goal with the directions they're heading with this right now, because this almost feels like when they launched the original Elimination Chamber. Back before they made that just like a perennial event and they shoehorned it in every year, even if they needed to or not, it had a storyline reason. There was so much main event talent on Monday Night Raw that they couldn't just have one competitor for that championship, so they concocted this match to have, all of these guys vying for the title. And it's starting to feel that way down at NXT with, like you're saying, the amount of hype that they had behind these women as huge international stars, which they are, phenomenal performers. It's crowded at the top all of a sudden. It wasn't super crowded. There were a couple clear contenders to potentially go after Roxy, and now it's like, who is going to be the first of these contenders to try to get a shot at Roxy? It just got all of a sudden very crowded at that final rush to the mountain peak, and it's really hard to see what they're going to do. But I have faith in them to handle it well. They haven't really let me down too heavily tonight, other than Chase U being disillusioned. But no, I hope they handle it well. But like, it's very crowded up there.
Well, and you essentially have the participants of the 10-woman tag team match from last week, minus Jordan Grace, that are vying for this opportunity. So there is a large amount of talent that can benefit. And I mean, we've talked about it ad nauseum week after week, how the NXT women's roster is the best in wrestling right now. But I still think that it's a good problem to have. Yes, you have a lot of roster depth, and every member essentially is incredibly talented. And then you bring in even better, even more talented people for the newer generation to learn from. But it's like you said, there's only so much room at the top, and eventually you have to either accept a spot on the mid card or try and make your name elsewhere.
Yeah.
So in that sense, do we think that a second NXT show would solve the problem? Like, NXT Europe has stalled out, but it still feels like this is an opportunity. If you're going to move the catalog to Netflix, give them a second show that they can air in the coming months.
It's certainly something to consider, especially with the depth of the women's roster. I mean, like, I've been advocating for a while that at least like giving a one-off PLE that's all just women's matches. I mean, it's 2/3. Often, actually, I'll say it's really more often 3 out of 5 women's matches on a lot of these cards, which is fantastic. Like, if you had told me that when I was like in high school, that was going to be like the state of one of the brands, actually, I'd be like, what do you mean brands? What are you talking about? WWE has more than one show. What's happening? But yeah, like it's wild. It's wild, and they do need a little more space sometimes to give give everyone the light they deserve. And speaking of crowded at the top, our next match, that Iron Survivor qualifier between Jada Parker and Stephanie Vacker. They had a pre-recorded promo from Stephanie that played as she was making her way to the ring. This is one of those matches on paper tonight that I was questioning, where do you go? Because obviously, like you said, they've put so much oomph behind Stephanie Vacker since signing her. And I said this last week on the show, and I mean this as it sounds. Jada Parker is the real deal when it comes to professional wrestling. She has everything that you need to have a Hall of Fame 20-year career. Like, she's just phenomenal. Everything. And I looked at this, I'm like, where do you go with booking this? How do you finish this match? And they got there. It was, it was a little distracting. But Stephanie Vacker wins in just about 11 minutes after Lola Vice holding a brick that I thought was a wallet when she came out.
Glad I'm not the only one.
Use a real brick if you're not actually going to hit her with it. Hold a real brick. But that was enough of a distraction to allow Stephanie to get the upper hand and the 3 count. Fantastic match, though. Absolutely fantastic match. Like I said, you just have 2 world-class wrestlers putting on a 10, 11-minute TV match, and fantastic. But CJ, what do you think of this match? The way they got to the finish, how the finish played out? How are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, great match. I loved this as well. I even had it written in my notes. It deserved a better finish than a non-clean finish. Like, it's not I know it's not like, she didn't actually interfere in the match, so technically it's still a clean finish, but it's not. It's not. But yeah, overall, again, I thought this was a great match. And again, really just illustrates my point earlier of the younger generation of talent being able to learn from worldly traveled wrestlers. It's hard to pass up.
Yeah, just amazing work. Like, I feel like I really hope that people don't feel like we're pandering or something here. Like, this is a genuine feeling about the women's division in NXT. I think it's the absolute best. One of the things I love about NXT is, especially like with the youngest, she's 8. I think it's really cool for her to get to see, a wrestling program that is often like 80% women. It's just very cool. It's just like, I don't know. I would have thought this possible a very long time ago, but it's wonderful, guys. NXT, you need to do an all-women's PLE, Sean, or maybe a couple episodes. Test it, put it on the road, see how it works. I bet it would work. I bet you could sell out a building with an all-women's show. Easy.
Well, I mean, you look at WWE's Evolution pay-per-view and the how well that was received, and the continued bafflement of why they never did a follow-up. Like, even now, the depth of the women's roster on the main roster is incredible. Then the amount of legends and Hall of Famers that you have coming back for one-off matches nowadays, like, that would be a perfect opportunity to highlight the women's division in the best possible way. You make it a co-event with NXT, or you leave it with just the main roster, or you give NXT one of its own. But yeah, I highly support that idea. I think it would be definitely something. Level Up was a Velocity and Sunday Night Heat level show. I'm talking about a Raw to SmackDown comparison. Like, you give NXT
and we
proper
know Level Up. We know Level Up.
Oh my god. And I mean, like, on a side note, like, I even saw, I think it was Luca Crucifino on Twitter that was promoting a match on Level Up, and it got me inspired, but I completely forgot about it until now. Like, I still don't know if they have anything on Sportsnet now, or if it's...
I haven't checked in a minute on Peacock. I'm going to be honest. So I'm not really sure how behind or on it they are with that. I know everything got pulled off of Hulu.
Right. Because with the
but,
change to Netflix, they pulled the plug on that deal.
Right. But yeah, I'm not really sure what the state of it is over there. I do miss watching it and talking about it, though. I will say that.
I agree, man. Like, it's still just Raw, NXT, and SmackDown as the WWE live event shows.
Interesting. So yeah,
like not even a back catalog of the pay-per-views. It's just
really?
The funniest thing about this, though, is the fact that the SmackDown graphic still has Edge and Bobby Lashley in it.
What?
Like, on Raw, they have like, it's an older graphic because the Judgment Day is still together, but they had Dom, Rhea, Finn, Priest, and then in the front row you had Seth, Cody, Becky. Oh, I missed Matt Riddle, though. So yeah, that one's a little bit outdated. The NXT one still has like the 3.0 color scheme, but it's still got like all the talent that they have on this graphic was either shown or referenced at some point in the show. So I think, but the fact that that's all they have, like, they used to have Main Event, they used to have Level Up, and now they don't have anything.
For the record, Peacock, the most recent episode of Level Up they have on their in-demand is from November 1st. So,
wow. That is crazy.
So they are basically in the same position they were in before, which is just wild to me. Like, it's
kind of circling the drain,
which is unfortunate. But you know, we'll speaking of talent that was featured very heavily on Level Up, but is now being featured week after week on NXT proper. We had Dion Lennox and Brinley Reese in the locker room preparing for their intergender tag team match they had coming up. They were talking about some college. I don't know what it was. I'm sorry. The only university I care about is Chase U. So I don't know what they were talking about. Thank you, John. God, this is going to be a rough week for me, guys.
And I didn't mention, just because, like, my camera isn't the best, and I don't know if you could tell, but this is a red and black tie that I wore in memory of Chase U. I was originally going to wear my red suit and black shirt, but then I was like, it's still an anniversary episode. I didn't want to cloud it too much.
Sadiversary at this point.
Now, the anniversary of the Dirt Sheet Radio shows going forward is still, like, for the NXT anniversry, it's
we'll always remember
the anniversary of Chase U's death.
Yep, we'll always remember this every year. But from that backstage segment, we went to the beach from X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Roxanne Perez was sharing a video of her talking from the beach, and she got, I don't know, video bombed, I guess, by Sol Ruka. Why did you post it? Reshoot it,
right?
So I like to imagine that this was like the 15th time she tried, and Sol's just lurking every time to run over and screw with her. Because like that was like, it made no sense logically. It's like, just reshoot the damn thing, Roxy. Come on, you've got time.
But it's just like, fuck it, that's the best one.
Now. This is the golden hour. This is all I got. I got to do it now.
I love the fact that out of all the beaches in Florida, like, she not only found the exact spot that Roxanne was at, but rather, like, not only found the beach, the exact spot. It's insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. There's a lot of competition even at the beach. I mean, Sol surfs a lot, so I mean, it's at least feasible that she would be at the beach randomly and run into someone. because she is a surfer. So like, but still, like, just Roxy, reshoot the video and.
And she comes up at the very end of it, like after Roxy already said her piece.
Yeah,
so it's
cut it
like,
early. Like, you
yeah,
edit these things. You really can.
to the
It's
point.
possible.
Like, just cut out from starting from the part where you see her come into frame, and you're fine.
But next on the card, with I guess title implications there, Tony D'Angelo with Adriana Rizzo taking on Brooks Jensen. If Brooks Jensen wins, then Sean Spears gets a North American Championship match. Brooks Jensen did not win. Tony D picks up the win here in just about 4 minutes or so. And then after is attacked by Sean Spears there. So, a plan laid by Sean Spears nonetheless. But yeah, Brooks Jensen, he's not winning still. He's still not winning.
True. And I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but the main stipulation of this match ends up essentially being meaningless because, spoiler alert, they promote Sean Spears getting a North American title match next week. But it still leaves a loss on Brooks Jensen's on Brooks Jensen's record, Bull Buchanan Jr.'s record. So I think they have another opportunity again in the long-term storytelling thing to highlight that Sean Spears is actually still manipulating Brooks Jensen. You didn't get the win, you got nothing out of this, but Sean Spears gets a title shot even though you didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, it's the tactic of the heel enraging the face to like demand the match to the point of putting the title on the line. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I hope they stretch this out for quite a while longer before Brooks starts to wake up to it. Because I like this grouping a lot. I was saying pairing, but now I'm saying grouping. As the man that was driving the SUV for him last week is still on camera and being associated with Sean Spears. I don't know did they give I can't remember if they gave him a name or not last week. That's gonna bother me.
I'm not sure.
If they did, I didn't write it down in my notes last week. But yeah, so he's he's around and present. So it's a grouping now. So the information bush, as I'm calling it, it's not a learning tree. None elsewhere. This is Sean Spears' information bush continues to grow and become wider with more students surrounding the information bush.
I love the idea that like it sounds very peaceful, like you're in like a garden maze or something like that, but then you get to the center and it's just Sean Spears and his cult.
Just hitting people. But I like it. I said before, I'm not a Sean Spears guy. I wasn't a Ty Gillinger guy. Like, I like this though. This is working for me. It's making me enjoy him being on screen and not want to turn it off when he's on screen. So again, NXT, hell of a job making me start to care and appreciate characters and wrestlers that I previously did not.
Did you at least care about Stan?
Up until now, I've said that his greatest contribution to wrestling was being kicked in the face backstage by Shawn Michaels, so, which is more than I've done in wrestling. I'd love to have been a guy kicked by Shawn Michaels backstage. Like, come on. Like, that's the one.
I showed up in the front row of an episode of Raw from a few years ago, and, that was my greatest contribution.
See, there you go. We take our moments where we get them. Yeah. I thought you were about to tell me you got kicked by Shawn Michaels at some point. I was like, what? How did we not know?
I know I've told the story on air before, but the fact that I moved from a town that a month later Shawn Michaels was seen in, it still makes my skin crawl with fury to this day.
Stop. Present for the right. Let's see
Oh,
where
also at the start of this, like when Tony's music hits and it cuts to the wide shot of the arena, I don't know who it was, but you could see two people just kind of darting back into Gorilla because they're like, "Oh shit, we gotta go." Did you catch that?
I did not see that. I did not. But that's live television, y'all. Like they things happen. Some cues are missed from time to time. But after the match, we had was this Ashante?
No, this was Lexus King and Yoshiki Inamura
okay,
talking backstage.
I had my my segments flipped here. I dug this, and I kind of knew where they were going with it as the camera pulled back. They had Lexus King giving this emotional, impassioned, I don't want to say speech, diatribe perhaps, because he's clearly speaking to someone, about how, he's, winning some people over, and he understands how folks are slow to believe that he's a changed man. And, at the end of this, he thanked the man that he was talking to. Yeah, and I kind of knew they were going to do that. It was great. And Josh Briggs walks up and he's like, "Hey, what was that? What was that all about?" It's just like I don't know. NXT's crazy.
No idea. Well, like he says NXT's crazy, and then we see the rest of the tag team division continuing to brawl. I thought I heard earlier on in the night, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Vic Joseph say on commentary that Ava was trying to get the tag team division separated?
Yes.
So all that effort just wasted, clearly.
No, they did a very poor job. But yeah, as soon as they said, huge brawl behind them, hands back, my kind of crazy. Do you see them? This to me almost implied that they were going to have him and Josh Briggs jump into the tag team division.
I didn't get that vibe. I thought it was more so just like
good, because I don't want that to be a step back for Josh Briggs. Like that was my concern. I'm glad that I was feeling that way and you're not, because that was my concern. Was that that's a step back to him. I feel at this point, you split him away from the tag team concept with Jensen a while ago. They just need to figure out what to do with him. But okay, so that was just me feeling that way. I feel a little bit better than
that, but at the same time, I hope you didn't just like speak it into the universe and now it's actually going to happen. But, I think that at least because Josh Briggs had been to Noah and, they can work that part of his character and make a tag team out of it. I would be fine with that, but I do agree that if they really want to push Josh Briggs as a singles guy, they're just going to have to start doing it.
Yeah.
But this did feel just like it's just an opportunity to get some guys on TV because we're not using them otherwise.
Right. But, well, and they've been...
Lexus King as well.
Yeah, and that's something they've been pretty consistent about, moving a cat. That's something they've been pretty consistent about, even when he's not wrestling, is to get him an on-screen segment where he's talking at the very least. And that's good. So to me, that's that they still have some faith in Lexus King. They're still trying with Lexus King. And I said this last week as well, but I like this. I like this character for him. I actually think he's doing a good job of it. And I think maybe they should have tried a little sooner to give him something with a little more heart. And I get it. They wanted him to be that hardline, swarmy asshole heel. And I'm not saying he's not decent at being an asshole. But I do think that he's shown a whole different side of himself here. And that's what part of NXT is giving those opportunities. But I'm digging this. Last week, something that Vic Joseph said I liked, as Lexus was struggling to do the right thing. He said he's got a loose cannon on one shoulder and Flying Brian on the other, and I like that. I like that he's a man conflicted. But I'm gushing too much about here. I feel like I'm just like rambling on at this point, but I'm very pro Lexus King, guys. That's my point. This cat,
Yeah, like he's still doing tremendous work, and hopefully they give him something with some actual stakes soon, because otherwise, we we were talking earlier about a new segment which we'll introduce at the end of the night, but one of the ideas that came up was kind of derogatory, and it's like, oh yeah, we'll do Lexus King for that one.
Poor guy. We'll talk
Poor
about
guy.
it. Yeah, but I like this.
I'm very much in the camp of you. Like, I love Lexus King, but they just haven't done anything with him to make it interesting enough for me to really get invested.
So I'm hoping this is a tick up for him in the right direction. I think that it could be, but again, as always, time is the ultimate teller of all things.
Oh, of course.
But, moving on from there, we had some mixed tag team action. Dion Lennox and the very positive Brindley Reese, who they're kind of transitioning her character a little bit as she's moved away from her former cohorts. She's still positive, but they've kind of made her less obnoxiously positive. She's not cartwheeling in and out of scenes any longer. So Dion Lennox and Brindley Reese taking on Carmen Petrovic and Ashante, the Adonis. Pretty solid mixed tag match here. Not super long, with just about 4.5 minutes. Ashante and Carmen Petrovic pick up the win here, and the will they, won't they continues. They held hands, and as they were locking eyes lovingly, the ref came and lifted their arms. Like, read the room, referee. Read the room.
Man, this was so fucking cringy. Like, from start to finish. Like, I even had it written in my notes. Like,
for weeks because of this angle, because she won't see through his bullshit.
Oh, exactly. Like, even the whole misogynistic, womanizing.
Oh, there she goes.
Yeah, wants nothing to do with the Ashante the Adonis. That's what she's scrambling to leave.
Yeah, she hates him.
But like, I don't think it's cute. Like, I think the blind tags in and out for the first couple minutes of the match, like,
right.
First of all, 3 out of 4 of those tags, the person on the outside wasn't holding the rope, so those should have been illegal tags to begin with. Second of all, like, it's just so, like, the match itself was good, but I think this is the part of pro wrestling that I hate it, even though it feels like a large part of the industry, where the representation of the wrestler in the ring does contribute to perception of the match itself. If you don't like the wrestler or their character, you have to fight a lot harder to compliment them or give them props. Like, I really enjoyed the work that Carmen Petrovic was doing prior to this this angle, and now it's just like, I was about to say, yeah, it was okay. Like, not her best work, but I don't know if it's just me or what your thoughts were, Tyler.
I don't hate the gimmick as much as you do. I understand not liking it. I think I kind of reconcile it, just because I know eventually everyone's going to see through it. He's going to lose. He's going to get the shit knocked out of him. That's what happens to heels. Sometimes that's not quite enough. There hasn't been a Lothario character quite like this in a really long time. I'm really struggling to think of the last time they had this heavy of a womanizer on WWE
Los
television.
Lotharios?
Los Lotharios. I mean, it's in the fucking name, ain't it?
That's why I was like, you can't say the word and not make that connection, Tyler. Come on.
It's weird. Like, it's just funny because it's just like I associate it's my association with the word Lothario is actually with Dude Love. Dude Love is how I learned it, because I'm pretty sure
Fair.
that in his first book, whenever Have a Nice Day came out, I would have been in like middle school, I think, when that thing got published.
It was like
originally.
97.
Yeah, so I started
97,
7th. Good grief. Yeah, so I was in 7th, 8th grade, kind of depending on when that dropped. But that's the first time I think I ever saw the word Lothario in print when he was talking about Dude Love. So that's the weirdest association. Like, the nicest, least womanizing man on the planet is who I most associate the word Lothario with. But so I know eventually get that way, but continually Carmen ends up being my jobber of the night because I hate that she won't see through this. They're going full tilt with it though, and they have another segment we'll talk about a little bit later here tonight between the two of them. But Ashante, the Adonis, and Carmen Petrovic with the win, and I have not called him Adrian in a long time. So
Excellent. Proud of you, dude.
Yeah.
If ever a reason for the Brian Kendrick to come back to the brand, it would be to team with Ashante the Adonis.
Or they can fight over like having the as the like, only one of us gets this.
We have, people fighting over titles or other stipulations, and then it's just like fighting for who gets the word control of the word the.
Yep. That sounds like the weirdest legal proceeding ever. That was like when Bill Clinton asked for the definition of the word is.
It's like, well, and then you have to go to like every tag team that has the in their name and be like, sorry, yeah, like you also can't use this, and I'm prepared to fight you for it. Trust me, there's precedence. I think that would actually be a really interesting gimmick.
It's like the Islanders, but with the word the. It's book it, Sean.
One beats the other, and then they start. Like they team up, and it's like now we get to take it from everybody else.
Right. Wrestling.
Good stuff.
From that match, we hopped back to the backstage area where Sarah Shriver was interviewing Ridge Holland ahead of the main event tonight. Ridge was very mean, and he said that the members of Chase U will all fail and flounder without their father to lead them. Hey, look, I can't hear father figure without immediately like assuming that Christian Cage is about to hop into the scene in some capacity.
You just picture of him looking at the screen backstage at Dynamite
with his turtleneck. Like he says, "I heard father figure, my ears popped up."
The Joe Hendry of bad father figures.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, man. But, solid, quick little promo here. But, fuck Ridge Holland. So that's where I'm at on that.
That's fair.
Yeah. But after that, we had a quick video package explaining how the Iron Survivor Challenge match works, and also had some highlights from prior years showing some of the winners, some of which are up on the main roster now. Looking forward to that. Well, it's such a fun match. It's wild, and it breaks some of my logic of how I feel a wrestling match should actually function, but it's still a lot of fun. So looking forward to that.
Oh, absolutely.
But from there, we had a Iron Survivor. This is a qualifier, right? Yeah. Zaria and Ren Sinclair, formerly Delta. Guys, going to keep saying that because I think it's kind of wild that they couldn't get the trademarks all lined up properly for that.
Bummer.
Too many things are called Delta. You got faucets, you got airplanes. There's a lot of stuff out there,
There's a town, city, I don't know what you call it, in British Columbia. I think it's like a section of Vancouver.
Okay, see, there's a lot of associations with Delta. Earlier we went into the Stephanie Vacker Jada Parker match, and I was saying I didn't really know who would win that. I didn't have a question here with this one. No offense to Ren Sinclair, but you were not walking out of this match winning, and you didn't. Zaria gets the win here in just about 3.5 minutes. Good match, though. I think Ren Sinclair is coming along very well. You talk about the importance of factions and group associations in wrestling and how it can immediately give you an air of importance and bring you up a little bit. No Quarter Catch Crew has done that for her. And I think her association with the No Quarter Catch Crew has allowed every member of that faction to show a lighter, more comical side. And I think that range is important. I think that wrestlers no longer need to be afraid to show they're funny. It used to be if you showed that you were funny, that's all you were going to do, because that's all Vince wanted you to do once you knew you were funny. I was so terrified when Kevin Owens started being funny on TV. I'm like, no, don't let him know. Don't let him know that you're clever. Big Show did it, and he cries nonstop on television now. Please stop.
Dude wore a diaper on New Year's Day episode of Raw. And it's like,
yeah,
that's a stigma.
That's my background picture on Facebook every year around New Year's. So,
love it.
Yep. Sorry, Paul White. My bad. But no, I think that she's great. But yeah, Zarya was winning this match. But yeah, so it's like you were saying, the amount of push they're putting behind these international, new hires that they've brought in. They're all heading that way, and that's why I think that next week, we'll see Julia moving forward. They're all going to be in that match, I assume.
I figure. Well, I mean, we talked about it already. The qualifier between Kalani Jordan and Julia. Right. I honestly could go either way for that one. I think if they did want to still build Kalani Jordan after losing the North American title, a good showing in the Iron Survivor match would be a good way to do that. I don't think she's going to win, but I mean, we have seen that mid-tier champion losing their title to go after the bigger title. We've seen that happen before. This could be an example of what it is.
I just feel like they're going to book a similar finish that they did with Jada and Stephanie Vacker tonight. I don't think that the issues between Kalani and Fatal Influence are over yet. And I think that they are going to be the catalyst that causes Kalani to lose that match. That's just my little theory heading into next week. It just a feeling. They were willing to do it there. I don't see why they wouldn't do it again. It kind of protects everybody, but I'd rather just see a clean finish one way or the other, honestly.
Well, and speaking of the power that having a stable can do, it's done wonders for Fallon Henley. Like, I did see her face character as championship material, but this version of her with Fatal Influence just launched her into the stratosphere. I think it's been great for her character development and range as a performer, and I think that if they do decide to break her out on her own again, that she's gonna have that sort of background and knowledge and just make that better for herself.
Yeah, agreed. Really quick question too. What are they calling Zarya's finish? It's an F5. They're not calling it an F5, are they? Like, did they call that anything?
I feel like I would have clocked that a lot more than what they're calling it now. Let me see. I'm sure it's on Cage Match. They usually track that stuff.
Because
we're not sponsored by Cage Match. I just was talking out loud.
Also not sponsored by WrestleTix, but I use numbers that they produce regularly in things I write. So I appreciate what they put out there.
So, what they have listed as the name of her signature move, like there's no finisher listed, but they have her signature move listed as the F6.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All righty. There we are.
They're pretty tongue-in-cheek. They know what they're doing, but I don't know what they've called it on TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Popping from there, ahead of their in-ring segment, they showed Fatal Influence walking backstage. But before that segment, we had Tony D being seen by the medical official backstage in the medical area after the attack from Jensen and Spears after the match. He was approached by Ava, and this is where he demanded that he get that match with Sean Spears. So, CJ, as you said earlier, Brooks Jensen losing matters not. Sean Spears will be getting that anyway. During this fight and argument here, Eddie Thorpe entered the room, and he was pretty upset, saying that the kerfuffle with everything with the tag teams is what caused him to lose that match, and that he wants this to be made right. And she's like, look, I can't just reverse the decision. And he got angry because, well, Tony D'Angelo makes a complaint, and he gets exactly what he wants. But I make a complaint, fine, I see how it is, and he storms out. So, like I said, he's being a dick. But it's understandable. But that's how a lot of good heel turns start, is with logic and it actually being, reasonable. But no, he's overreacting.
You say the same thing about Xavier Woods on Raw right now.
Right.
Him not shaking Jey Uso's hand. He just went on social media recently talking about how he still holds it against him for the bloodline destroying his crown after he won King of the Ring. And I love that nuanced storytelling, especially when it comes to heels, because you can sell a face for basically any reason under the sun as long as it's positive. It really kind of fell to the trope of boo me because I'm bad as far as heels go. You didn't have any real nuance and good storytelling as far as how you present a heel until this new version of WWE came up through Triple H, and I love seeing this great in-depth storytelling. It's refreshing after so many years of what felt like Vince McMahon playing with his wrestling action figures on his bedroom floor.
Yeah, it's definitely a positive turn. Just much more depth to it.
Yeah,
and they've done a much better job with that. You care to an extent, and like I said, there's an understanding there as to why these turns happen. Yeah, it's wild. What a grudge to hold, Xavier. It's basketballs don't hold grudges, but apparently Xavier Woods does over a crown. But it does make sense, and it makes sense here. What they're doing with Eddie Thorpe makes sense, and you know what? Go for it. Let's see what he can do as a bad guy.
Well, Mac in the comments, Kevin Owens, another great example of this this justified rage, and it's well, we're gonna start booing you because you're right. Even that in itself feels wrong.
Right. Yeah. It's hey, they know how to turn that crowd on them. So good on them. I'm excited to see what they do with it going forward. But in the ring, we had Fatal Influence make their way out for their in-ring segment. And this is where Fallon Henley said that she will be issuing an open challenge for that North American title. Not tonight. No, not tonight. No, of course not. Because that's what heels do.
But it is interesting to see the heel throw out the open challenge. It's very rare. It doesn't happen. But when it does, it kind of makes them stand out as a champion, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It adds, again, an extra perception of toughness. Also, without question, as a character, she doesn't fear losing that championship. She has, JC Jane and Jasmine Nix backing her up. And, that's they'll get her out of any situation she falls into. But it does show a lot of, confidence and, bravado is probably the better word for it than confidence, as, it's trying to put a negative spin on how she's carrying herself here. But yeah, a lot of challengers immediately flood out there. Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson, Nikita Lyons, Adriana Rizzo, Tatum Paxley sneaking in from behind. And there's a lot of challengers there, and I don't really want them to pull that belt off of her for a while. I'd like to see her run through some people with it.
Mm-hmm, me too. As much as I love to see Paxley win, not at the expense of Henley's title reign. I think she has done some tremendous work, and this alignment with Fatal Influence is kind of at the core of it, like I was talking about earlier. So if you really want to give her the ball, you gotta make sure she runs with it.
Yep, absolutely.
But also, what the fuck are they putting in the water at the PC? Because we talked about it earlier, like the constant brawls with the tag team division. Now we see an all-out brawl with the women's division over the North American title. We've said it before. The NXT parking lot is the most dangerous place at the Performance Center. Everyone is so fucking angry.
They're caffeinating the water. They're heavily caffeinating the water. Like I'm talking like espresso levels of caffeine in this water.
But to this extent, like they're manic and rabid, and it doesn't like I had a nice lunch date with my girlfriend earlier today, and I had a shot of her. I guess it's like a frozen espresso, I think. And I'm not a coffee drinker by any means, but I still had a sip of it. And I still taste that in the back of my mouth. Like it still lingers. So I don't want...
Be bitter, sir. The bean juice can be bitter.
But at the same time, it's like I don't think there's a level of caffeine that would lead to this much overall violence.
You'd be surprised. Red Bull can do wild things to people,
but not actually give you wings.
No, it does not do that. It just makes you very violent. Apparently,
it doesn't make it as
Red Bull to come after me. That's not real. It doesn't happen that way.
That's not as marketable of a tagline.
No, it's not. Red Bull, it makes you violent.
Well, actually, we don't have a legal defense for this one. It just does actually make you violent.
I'm sorry, guys. It is what it is. These are the breaks. But after that schmoz was broken up and pulled away, we went back to the backstage area where we again saw Ashante and Carmen playing around with the will they, won't they, until Nikita Lyons walked through the scene and said that she never got a text back from Ashante, the Adonis. And he said, that's a lie. It's a lie. I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
Wait, but like, was she waiting on a text back from him, or was he waiting on a text back from her?
She said that she never got a text back from him. Which,
okay,
that's
so
positive, right? Should be like, see? Yeah, see, that's people getting mad over nothing now.
And he even said at the end of this promo, like, I didn't text her. Yeah, that's exactly what Nikita just said too. So I actually wrote it in my notes. I'm going to quote myself here. I really don't give even the slightest of shits about this relationship drama bullshit. I don't, but at the same time, I gotta call it how I see it, and there's really nothing for her to be angry about here. If she wants him to be, solely committed to her, not texting back someone else back is exactly the way to do that.
Right.
Thank you, Max. Yes, 100%. I agree with that. This storyline sucks.
Yeah. But from there, we had the Axiom and Fraser segment that we talked about a little bit ago, and then
the Ethan Page promo.
The Ethan Page promo, which if I were him, I'd be a little more irritated that I have to qualify for the match. You think he'd be a little more upset about that, but
It's not the Royal Rumble. You don't just get to declare yourself an entrant and expect that to fly. Also, on an unrelated note, shout out John Cena. Kicking off his retirement tour next year. It's sad to see him go. But yeah, Royal Rumble declarations are weird. I remember when you used to have to qualify for it. Made it feel special. But I mean, at the same time, it's hard to justify people qualifying when you have so many returning stars and Hall of Famers from past years. I love those surprises. So if we get more of those, like more Jordan Graces showing up in the Rumble, You know, like
Right.
that was a huge get for last year's Rumble. So I'm actually really excited to see who ends up in this year's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tangent
Let's
over.
see. We had the second Chase U vignette here right ahead of the main event. Of course, we had Trick Williams make his way out to the commentary table, and then the main event that we discussed at the top of the show. And that takes us back to where we began this evening. CJ, before we hop into our jobbers and megastars tonight, was there anything else from tonight's program that we didn't touch on that you wanted to talk about?
I mean, not really so much from the program tonight, but there was a comment that Mac made earlier that I was wanting to address, but I think we didn't get the opportunity. Canada is America's hat. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Canada is not the US's hat, or the US is Canada's asshole.
Whoa.
So, yeah, I mean, Florida even looks like it's pushing out a piece of shit. Let's just be real. Far as
Florida is America's penis, sir. That is
very true.
Otherwise,
I mean, I guess it's a matter of perspective. But now that we're talking about that, it's hard to kind of segment or segue into the ad reads, because I'm not sure how any of these brands would feel following a story about assholes and donks.
They get what they get and they don't throw a fit, CJ. That's what happens.
There you go. Well, I guess we can start with Shop DSR on our Shopify store, because I mean, we're just doing the DSR thing anyways. Yeah, it's us. You know, we still need like personalized merch. I would love to be able to be like, hey, get the CJ Carter hat on Shop DSR, but that's a conversation for another day. Something you can get right now, though, Delphin Pod shows available anywhere podcasts are found. You can catch the Major Issues show every Thursday on their YouTube channel, Cold Case Project on YouTube as well. You can check out comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio. That is our home on the internet for everything pop culture, wrestling related. And of course, you use promo code DSR10 when you order through monk.com. You save 10% on your organic handheld essential oil diffusers.
Right on. And that is
sorry, I just Mac, I get it. Now. I get it. We got some beef, but we'll squash it, I think.
Okay. It's all right. It'll all be okay, guys. We all get along here at DSR at the end of
He's in my DMs right now.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. He's not.
Angry videos being sent currently. But that's going to take us into tonight's NXT Jobbers of the Night. So CGI,
is it another week of your
Carmen Petrovic is kind of my running one, so I feel like I need to do something a little bit different. So she is Jobber 1 and A, and this is Jobber 1B. But I also have to give a little complaint towards Eddie Thorpe on this, because I feel that he's overreacting to this situation. I kind of understand, but like clearly Ava has a lot going on. People are being attacked in the parking lot. The tag teams are going crazy. The women division's imploding. Yeah, I'm sorry that there was an interruption to your match. Did the interruption really affect you? Because like Nathan Fraser was way more involved. Nathan Fraser plunged over the ring to hit all the teams, and he still won the match, Eddie. So, like,
Well, and I mentioned it when we were talking about the match. Like, he specifically kicked Axiom before getting back into the ring. So that moment of choosing to not get in the ring any earlier, giving Nathan Fraser that extra second to recuperate, that could have been the pivotal moment where if you hadn't done that, maybe you could have won.
ring awareness, Mr. Thorpe. Ring awareness. But yeah, so in lieu of, like, constantly, complaining about Carmen Petrovic not seeing through Ashante the Adonis's bullshit, I will say Eddie Thorpe is my official jobber of the night. CJ, who do you have in that slot?
Well, speaking of people not being able to see through other people's bullshit, I got to give it to Brooks Jensen.
Okay.
He's picking these fights for Sean Spears, and the only person actually getting anything out of it right now is Sean Spears. Even on paper, like, you look at how the footage went, regardless of whether or not it was the plan all along for Brooks to attack Tony's knee, it still looks like Sean Spears was shaking Tony D'Angelo's hand. And then Brooks Jensen comes in, takes him out at the knee. You're just doing the dirty work and getting none of the proper recognition or accolades out of it. It should have been there was really no reason for obviously they set up the match as non-title, but there should have been no reason for them not to try and put the title on Brooks Jensen instead of Sean Spears, other than fueling this story of, well, Sean Spears is just using Brooks Jensen. So it's kind of the same sort of thing of they just don't see it. They're blind to the truth. So Brooks Jensen is my jobber of the night as well.
Right on. Well, from the jobbers, we go into the much more positive side of the avenue here. The NXT Megastars of the night for November the 19th, 2024. CJ, since I started with the jobbers, who do you have as your Megastar this evening?
Well, you had an honorary jobber. I have an honorary megastar, and I'm pretty sure you already know where I'm going. Chase U, as a collective, is the megastar of the night. Honorary megastar. I think as far as the actual megastar goes, imagine how much it would piss you off if I chose Ridge Holland.
Oh, you're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked at my reaction.
Really?
And who I chose as mine. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, yeah. I will, sorry for spoiling your choice, because my choice is actually, hang on. I was hoping to buy myself some more time. Tatum Paxley. Yes, she ended up kind of eating the mat at the end of this segment, but she came out of this promo like a leveled up champion. Like I said, the heel coming out and establishing an open challenge is rare, and it's something that you clock when you talk about whether they are actually a fighting champion or not. So definitely she's been doing some tremendous work, and this just is the next step in her career. So megastar of the night material, even though she didn't have a match. I'm very much looking forward to seeing her match with Tatum Paxley next week, though.
Oh yeah. Tatum's a fantastic choice. I've gushed a lot about Tatum Paxley on here, both in ring and as a character. Like, I think she's just brilliant at everything she does. She knows exactly how to be Tatum Paxley. Bright future for her, without question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I always a great choice in Tatum. I'd probably slot her in my top 3 NXT wrestlers, and that's saying a lot.
Interesting.
Because there's a lot of women on that roster that I think are absolutely stellar, but there's just something I think it's the semi-sinister character. I enjoy it. It's dark, but not so dark that it's ooh, I'm so spooky and evil. Like it's realistically so. But
Gotcha.
yeah. So, guys, I don't like that they booked it this way, but I have to give my megastar of the night to Ridge Holland. I have to, because it worked. It garnered the reaction from me and from a lot of other folks, I'm sure, that they wanted. I'm very angry about it. I hate Ridge Holland more than I ever have in this moment, which means they did their job. And it's not go away heat. It's not that I don't want to see him. I want to see him get the tar knocked out of him by Andre Chase, though. And that's the problem with this, because it's not going to be Andre Chase doing the ass beating. It's going to be Trick Williams.
There is still, I think, at least, a possibility that Chase U is going to be able to bounce back to some degree, even if it's not with the 3-star pupils, as it were. But that's another thing that if we were still doing Level Up Adventure, that the graphics all are kind of Chase U themed, and
yeah, that's just sad. That's sad now, but it's okay. It's okay. I was moving on a little bit here, but I just feel so bad for maybe Ridge will lose that match because of Duke, Thea, and Riley. Didn't say that they couldn't do things together. It just said that they can't work with Andre any longer. But we'll see what happens. But here's the thing: Ridge has been doing stellar work. He's actually, this isn't the first time he's been my megastar since this heel run started. Like, he's doing a very, very good job. This is the most compelling I have found him as a wrestler since he's been in WWE. So, again, kudos to them taking a wrestler that I didn't really like or care about and making him into someone that I care about and, am invested in the segments. I would have much preferred Andre Chase won that match. I would have preferred Andre Chase won the ambulance match at Halloween Havoc. But here we are. He just lost and lost and lost. But they told a great story, and Ridge is the evilest man on the planet. But he is my megastar of the night.
Fair enough. And it's hard to refute any of what you just said. Like, he's one of those examples of how an NXT career rehabilitation is a good thing for a lot of wrestlers.
Yep, absolutely. Now, guys, before we kind of get into the show closing procedures and get out of here tonight, we do have a segment that we kind of, I meant to kind of do last night as well, but I pitched to CJ at the pre-production meeting, which is just us talking before we go live. But I would like to, since this is the 1-year anniversary of us doing these rewind shows, I would like to bring forward the megastar of the year for NXT in my eyes, and I have one for both the men and the women's side. But I would like to say my women's choice first, and that is someone who we've talked about a bit tonight already. But that's Fallon Henley. I think that Fallon Henley has had, and I'll probably be saying this at the end of the calendar year as well when we talk about who had amazing years. Fallon Henley has had such an incredible run and breakout since we've started doing these rewinds. When we started, it was her and Briggs and Jensen as a unit, and she was kind of a, barmaid character, cowgirl. And she's come a really, really long way, and she still has elements of that to her character. She still has those, those cowgirl roots, but she has slotted into this heel role so well. Like CJ said, the association with Jasmine Nix and JC James as part of Fatal Influence, just absolutely just rocketing higher and higher in the women's division. And that is saying a lot because this women's division is so incredibly competitive. And there is so much depth in the roster that to truly stand out the way that Fallon Henley has in my eyes, that says a lot. So, it's our first year of doing these. And Fallon Henley is, for the women's side of things, my megastar of the year. CJ, how you feeling on this today?
I think as far as the women's division goes, I got to give it to Roxanne Perez. Like, she had a monumental first year in the company, and she was really able to capitalize on that through her first women's championship reign. But then we see this year and this new character that she's been developing as a heel that when you, and I know we've talked about this on the show before, but like the physically small women have a little bit of a harder time being believable threats in the ring, but as long as you can still have a great heel character, then that kind of helps in a way for at least being a believable heel. And I'm not trying to say that Roxanne or other small women aren't impressive in the ring, but I mean, there's a reason why, women like Nia Jax are seen much more dominantly than women the size of Roxanne.
Well,
So,
and on the flip side of that, women that are, like the size of Nia Jax or even as tall as someone like a Charlotte Flair, they have a more difficult time being a face. Because it's hard to cheer for the woman that is so much larger than all of her competitors. And so on that flip side, they have the difficulty. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's totally fine. Like, I appreciate, I cut you off during your Megastar of the Night earlier. So, turnabout's fair play. But I think, yeah, as far as who had the best year, I got to give it to Roxanne Perez.
Stellar choice. But so who, CJ, who do you have on the men's side?
I think as far as like megastar qualities, I gotta give it to Obafemi. Like, his banner year has just been like the stuff of legend by the end of his North American title run. Like, he has done what a lot of the NXT stars want to have happen to them. Like, they strapped a rocket on him from the get-go.
Yeah.
And if there is actually a main roster run coming up in the near future for him, clearly that's a sign that he not only has the backing of management and, kind of security in there as long as he continues to be himself, essentially. Right. But even if he does come back to NXT at some point, he is still going to be in a great position because of how incredible his banner year was. So it's hard for me to not sit here and say that anybody else doesn't fit the mold of Megastar of the Year for me as much as Obafemi.
Yep. I agree 100%, and I am in full agreement with you on Obafemi as Megastar of the Year. When I had thought about this earlier in the day, I kind of wavered between him and Trick Williams. And what it came down to is, for all of Trick's positives, there have been a couple times in this past year where he's kind of stumbled. And where he's not quite up to that main roster readiness has shown through a couple of times. And I don't feel that Obafemi had any missteps with his first year as an NXT wrestler. Like, just straight from the breakout, that night, like, we were all talking about how incredible he was in that first 3-minute match he had. So yeah, he had one of, if not the best, first rookie years in this company. Like, just absolutely. Like, so yeah, I'm in full agreement that the Megastar of the Year for the first year of us doing these, absolutely Obafemi. We talked about how I think there was only a few people on the men's side of things in NXT that are really feasibly prepared for a main roster debut. He's on that short list, even though I'd like to see him spend some more time down in NXT. But, I know how things go in wrestling. But amazing talent, banner year, Obafemi.
100%.
We are all Obafemists at the...
Feminists.
Feminists. That's a hard word to get out. Been talking a lot tonight. Molly, what do you think?
And we, as much as big supporters of Lexus King we are, I'm still not calling us Lex offenders.
No, we're not doing that. That was registered. We're not. It's people know about it.
Very, very true.
Guys, we will. We talked about it. We will not be doing a jobber of the year, as we felt that was
a little mean.
But yeah. That is NXT in a nutshell, guys. We appreciate you guys. Oh man, come on!
I'm actually going to call it out. I know I kind of alluded to it earlier, but I didn't want to actually put the name to it, And also, that's not even spelled correctly, John. Jeez, he's not a car; he's a human being.
Alexis is just a Toyota that's more expensive.
Oh god! All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, guys, I want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight, and I have great news for you. If you enjoyed what you saw here, we don't just tune in for NXTs on Tuesdays. We're here every night of the week. We are here Monday nights for Raw. Obviously, we're here for NXT on Tuesdays. Wednesdays is made for AEW Dynamite. Thursdays is for TNA Impact. And Friday nights are SmackDown. And if you're up really late... Oh, God, yes, the Adam Cole interview. Sean, when's that dropping in full? Is that fully out right now?
It's up.
Is it up now? I just saw
that is available. That is available right now on YouTube. You can go to the Danny Ocean Show on YouTube. Get that Adam Cole interview. It's very good stuff. We had fun with Adam. He had fun talking with us. Go check that out.
Baby. But yeah, go check out the Adam Cole interview as soon as this is over. Actually, you can leave right now if you really want to. But there are a couple more
We're
things
just plugging our stuff.
Wednesday night, super late, the Dirt Sheet Radio flagship program. Check that out. But if you're like me, listen to it early on Thursdays during your commute to work, not when you're taking the kids to school. Okay? Learn that lesson. But yeah, Sunday, CJ and I are going to be coming back on Sundays with the Weekend Wrestling Roundup soon, guys. We're figuring out all the details. Life be life, and the holiday season can be packed full of things to do. But guaranteed on Sundays, the 3NT podcast. They'll be coming live every week with the Christmas graphic and all of professional wrestling. DJ, where can the folks find you?
Well, I'm not as active on Twitter as I used to be, and I haven't really established myself anywhere else. So you catch me here every Tuesday, hopefully. I don't know if I'm going to keep wearing a suit or not, but I like that it's been positively received so far. But I try to be here every Tuesday, sometimes on Monday, sometimes on Friday. Big WWE mark. You don't have to say it. I say it to myself.
Right on. And I am Tyler, the Pro Wrestling Hipster. Give me a follow over on Facebook at the Pro Wrestling Hipster after you follow Dirt Sheet Radio. This is little Molly Holly. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night live after AEW.
They might come after you, Ashante the Adonis and the Brian Kendrick.
It's the battle of the V's.